I would like to tell you something about workplace nudging. I work at WorkWire. I'm one of the founding partners, and I'm also a workplace consultant. So maybe I'm in the 52% who needs to change their role. First of all, before I tell you something about workplace nudging, let me tell you something about sedentary behavior. Who of you has a sedentary job or sits a lot when they work? Guess a lot. Interesting. Since 1950, sedentary jobs started to rise. A lot of us, so as we can see in the hall, have sedentary jobs. If we go further, you have a few facts. 1 in 4 persons spends an average of 8 hours a day sitting down. Well, you're all sitting down right now. And we're all sitting down longer than 30 minutes. And this is a grim fact that if you sit down for 30 minutes or longer, your death rate starts to rise. Well, it's not very happy thoughts. Workplace nudging should make things more fun and more easy. But let me ask you something. Did these 3 facts, did it trigger something with you? No? Nothing? What did it trigger, Marie? Yes, Marie stood up during her presentation. You all are sitting down still. Why are you sitting down? Can I help you? Can I nudge you? Let me ask you the question again. Why are you still sitting down? Who wants to join me for a little dance? Move around. Come on. Let's be active. Yes, you can do it. Let's see who can outdance the cat. Any contestants? Well, thank you. I think 90% is standing. Interesting. So this is nudging. I invited you to stand. Just a simple question, just a simple cat dancing, and you all stood up. But on the grim facts I showed you earlier, you didn't stand up. Why? Sorry? It was not fun, no. Seeing that we would die earlier if we would stay sedentary. Well, this is what nudging is about. You all are able, or most of you are able to stand up. Am I right? A few people still are sitting down. Maybe it's because of health issues. But most of the people are able to stand up. But we also need the desire or the wanting to do something. You also need the desire to stand up. So the interesting fact always in my presentations is how many people will be remaining standing or will be remaining standing during the rest of my slideshow. This is an invitation. Think about it, what you want to do. I don't really care. You can sit down if you want to. But the fun fact is a lot of you actually stood up. And I have a few diehards with me. Thank you. I'll remind you later on the facts. I have a few people back there. Thank you for still standing. Okay. Fun fact is that the stories Marie and Killian told were about the empowering workplace, what I like to call the empowering workplace. And a lot of the trends they told you about, we see as well. So that's the same, I can say. And I would like to call it the empowering workplace. So it's a human-centered design. I think that's the key part about today. Humans should be in the center of your design of your workspace. You all know these terms, your bricks, bytes, and behavior, and then it's an integral concept. But what about the one element you can't program or plan? A lot of you are sitting down again. I can't really program you. I can erase the chairs from the room, and then you're not able to sit down anymore. Well, you could, but you sit on the ground. So one part of nudging is that ability, the fact that there are chairs here, invites a lot of you to sit down. But you don't really think about it. So if you look at the bricks, bytes in behavior, you have one side, and that's the facilitating side. How should you facilitate your employees, your company, to work in a certain way, to achieve your strategic goals? And on the other hand, you have the side, how does your workforce or your company, your organization use these facilities? Nudging is about having all the facilities you should possibly have or want, or you can do anything with the design of the 3 areas up there. But what happens is people don't show the desired behavior to work in the intended way you designed your workspace for. Does it happen a lot? Yes, I see people nodding. I think in like 75% of the projects or the clients I meet, this is the case. We have perfect work environments, but people don't work in the way they intended to work, or we intended to for them to work in our environments. So how does it work with nudging? Because this is the next step. You need ability and desire to work in a certain way. So you all needed ability and desire to stand up in the first exercise of today. Don't be afraid, I don't have a lot of exercises left. But workplace nudging. In the projects we have in mostly Holland, we saw that a lot of companies struggle with the fact that if I create an empowering workplace, why does it keep happening that people show different behavior than the one I'm hoping they will show? Which led us to create the workplace nudging method. It's a 10-step method, you can see in the back here. And a few facts about this method is that it's all the steps have a base in psychology and yeah, well, all in psychology. So it's all evidence-based. All the steps we take are have a root in psychology. Second of all, it's suitable for nudging on several levels. Nudging is not only not just a way of changing behavior at the end of your project, but also in the beginning. I will give you some examples later. It's based around engagement. People don't like you to change them, but they are able and willing to change if it suits them. Do we agree? Okay, perfect. I didn't force you to stand up. You stood up yourselves, right? Okay. For me, it's always important to have support from the organization itself. They can change themselves perfectly if they want to, if the conditions are right. And last but not least, the method can be easily adopted and accepted by the people who are involved at the first time. So this is not a business model for WorkWire to be connected to the companies for years ongoing. We learn and transition this method onto our clients. Because why believe in engagement and doing it yourself if you keep on, if you have to keep hiring the same consultancy over and over again? You can do it yourself, the change, in this method. Well, then nudging. Nudging itself isn't an idea of our brain. Nudging is, there's an interesting book. It's wrote by Thaler and Sunstein. Do a lot of people know this book? Possibly, yes? It's an interesting book, don't you find? Yes? What did you take away from the book? It's impossible, probably, without a microphone. It depends on the individual. The change, you mean? Yes. It depends on the individual. Yes. A key part of nudging is that it is based in choice architecture. So back to the fact that I said, it's not really I want to change you, but you want to change for yourself and by yourself. But before I can take you further into nudging, I would like to tell you something about how our brain works when it comes to making choices. We think that all of our choices are things we think about consciously, are most of the times effortful, and complex decisions are easy to make for us. In this part of the brain, the choices we make are reliable. Well, then comes the second brain, and here comes the reptile brain, or the fast and the slower brain, and it's a strategy or a philosophy that is introduced by Daniel Kahneman, thinking fast and slow. And the faster system makes our everyday decisions. Is error prone? So that's interesting. A lot of our decisions we make are based on habits. And the habits are the things you would like to change with nudging. If I created another habit for myself, it's easier to make it into a pattern and change my behavior for the longer period, not for just once. This is interesting in the same example of standing up and sitting down. I made you stand up one time, but how can you nudge yourself to do it more? To not sit down in your work environment, in your workplace, to keep on moving. Killian told us about moving as well. I think the oxygen levels in our brains went back to 65% after 2 hours behind the desk. Is that the correct? Okay, interesting. And in a hospital, you're better off. Okay, these two systems. Little pop quiz. What is the right answer in the question, how many of our decisions do we make with which system in our brains? Who thinks A is the correct answer? Nobody? There's no true or false here. A few? Okay. Who thinks it's B? Oh, sorry. Who thinks it's B? A few more. And C? Thank you. Yes, 90% of our choices we make every day are based on routine. It's a very interesting fact. So, flexible work behavior, if it's impossible to achieve when you are used to working in a certain way for several years, how do you influence it? Well, this is one of the facts. Nudging plays into the 90% we have as habits. And it also relies, or also is under, what is the right word? Well, let me just let you read this. The way choices are presented to us influences the way, or the choice we make eventually. So we like things to be easy and more fun. And these are two examples of nudges. One of them is an example of making things easy for us. I guess in every country there's a parking app like the one I showed here. This is one from Holland. I don't have to think about where I parked my car, which zone I'm in, how long I'm going to stay there. I just click start and click stop when I arrive at my car back, and it's all done. I don't even have to think about paying. It's all made easy. We have a lot of nudging, easy nudging in IT. And in marketing and in sales. The nudging is more based on the fun fact. This is one of the pedestrian lights in a pilot from TomTom. And just like the pilot in, or the Electrolux example, in the pedestrian light, people tend to not look at the light anymore. They walk the red lights. This is one of the pilots, and it's just in near this pedestrian light, there's a booth you can dance in. So this is an actual image of somebody dancing like 500 meters away in a booth, nudging you to stop at the stoplight or the pedestrian light and wait for the cars to pass by. Well, it's a fun intervention. I would dance like crazy in the box, and I would like to see how people are stopping. If you translate this to the work environment, because these are two nudges you can meet in the traffic most of the times. An easy way to help meetings go better or more efficiently are giving templates. These are fun templates. We call them, well, that's a Dutch name, so you can't really do anything with it, but a vergader template. And it helps you to achieve the goals, the things you set out for in the meeting in a fun way, in an easy way too as well, but it's colorfully marked, and you can even rate your meeting at the end of the meeting. A lot of the meetings we have with this template are 20% more effective. just with a little nudge. And the other one is a pegboard you can hold polls on. So, for instance, at the entrance of your office, you could say which brand value should have more attention in our office, or which of the core values should we pay more attention to, and people can place their pegs in the desired place. So you can have an employee engagement way and nudge people to think about your strategic goals of your organization. Then onwards, one of the models we use is the BJ Fogg behavior model. Does somebody know this model? Not a lot of response, so let me tell you how it works. The model works in two axes. One of them is ability. So, do I have the ability to do something? Is it easy to do or hard to do? And the other axe is motivation. Do I have a high motivation or a low motivation to do something? And I prepared an example for you to give you some insight in how the model works. We have an action line. And that action line depicts if the behavior is successful or not. And this is an example of my partner in WorkWire and myself. And this is an example of marathon running. Esther, up there, is a very highly skilled and highly trained, highly motivated person in marathon running. I prefer dancing and swimming. I'm not into marathons. That's why I'm at the bottom of the top of the model, sorry. Let's say, for instance, you would like to nudge me into running marathon. What would you think you should do? How could you nudge me? Sorry? Motivate me, yes. Motivating me rises rises my motivation. I should also do something in ability. I don't run 5 times in a week, not even one. I swim twice a week. That's enough. But you should nudge me on motivation and ability. And motivation is nudged by making things more fun, and ability is nudged by making things more easy. So easy and fun is the way to go. Nudges are in fact triggers in this model. And triggers below the action lines fail, and you should try to pull the people over to the action line and make the triggers work. Triggers are nudges. I prepared a few examples in 2 areas, sustainability and health. I think those are 2 topics you read and hear a lot about in corporate real estate and in strategic goals organizations have. And these are a few nudges I came across. This is a high school in Holland. And a lot of the students don't throw away their garbage or their litter in a correct way. It's scattered all over the yard. This is a litter bin, and on the litter bin is placed, if you can reach this, you're doing it right. So they made it more fun and more challenging to throw away your garbage. And the fun fact was, it worked. Because a lot of people thought, okay, it's too hard for them to think about throwing their litter away. By making it a challenge, the students wanted to throw away their garbage more. This is a fun fact, right? They also have one with a basketball ring above it. The other one, it's an example of nudging people in sustainability and how much towels you use in the bathroom. There was somebody here from Peru? Yes? Well, this is a very easy way in how do you nudge your facilities to eventually nudge behavior. This is another one. Well, I could show you dozens of examples. If you Google, you will find a lot of examples, but the fun part is to how to implement this within the sphere of your organization, of your office. Then the health part. We see a lot of organizations placing stairs in a more central way, more central spot than their offices instead of the escalators. But I think, well, 80% of the offices I go into, the escalators are the first thing I see behind the reception, not the stairs. If I would see the stairs first, I would take the stairs more likely. Plate size, yes. This is the easy one. We all know this one, right? If my plate is a size smaller, I don't really put less on it, but my mind is tricked, let's say, because the portion is the same. The last one, you can implement challenges. People like challenges. And this is a card deck you could play with health challenges in your organization. So we have a lot of options to nudge people. We made a whole website about it. It's very fun to roam around if you want to know more about the model or the way we think about it and the way we implement it with the clients we have. And furthermore, you're all sitting down. Could I nudge you once more to stand up and do a little dance just before break? Somebody question? Yes, in the back.
Could I ask, have you examples of unintended consequences? So, for example, your parking app is dreadful because we want to discourage people taking cars to work and parking.
Yes.
And I didn't mean to be cynical because I know that's not the intent, but I'm sure that can be.
Absolutely. Do you know in the parking garages, the red and the green lights you show when the parking spot is free, the effect it has that the people are speeding in the garage. So that's not an effect you wanted to reach because you wanted to make it easier to find a parking spot. But the average speed was, this is a parking garage in Amsterdam, was normally it's 15 miles an hour and it was 35 miles an hour because people are speeding towards the green light because it's easy. Well, that is one of the effects you can reach which is not intended, yes. It happens. So it's not really, what you see in nudging is that is why we have a base in psychology, or all the steps are having a base in psychology, is because you don't want to have these effects. Is that an answer to your question?
Well, I think maybe it exemplifies that you can get too narrowly focused on achieving a certain outcome.
Yes.
That is in the interest of the people designing or implementing the nudge.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is indeed as powerful as you've exemplified, we want to think about that.
Yes. Yes, I agree. Yeah. Yes.
Is there an alternative to nudging for people that are resistant to it?
Yes, nudging is just one of the behavioral change methods we know. You also have framing, or you could also implement rules or whatever. So this is a fun and easy way, which I prefer, but you have all several ways to change behavior. Framing is one of them. You could also enforce some behavioral change, yes. But I prefer the nice and easy and fun way. Because the fun fact is that the organizations we work with, all the people coming frowning because they think, oh no, this is one of those change methods. Somebody's going to change me for the better of themselves. All the people go out smiling. And that is one of the things I'm very proud of.